Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Wild Hearts, and today I want to give you a chance to take a look at one of the weapon types, which is the Karakuri Katana. This is a fantastic weapon. Honestly, it has been my favorite one I've tested out in the sort of demo or build so far. This is basically a combination of a katana and also think like Ivy's chain blade whip. It is so incredibly cool, super satisfying, and does have some very anime moves. Also has an incredibly powerful jump attack off the boxes, one of the strongest in the game, so it is a fantastic weapon. It's also the weapon you will begin the game with, so everyone will have some degree of exposure to this. So in that regard, you could kind of liken it as sort of the beginner weapon, the sort of pick up and play, learn the ropes, that kind of thing. It's not hugely complicated, but there is of course a degree of mastery when you sort of learn all the different combos and when to use the right moves. So with that being said, if you guys do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know if you guys have got any questions about this one. As always, I do want to remind you guys that this is taken from a very early work in progress build. There's definitely plenty of room for optimization, so sometimes I do get a few frame drops, things like that. So this is definitely not a final build, but it did give us a great chance to get a feel for the weapons, test things out, and really see what the game had to offer. And honestly, I have been thoroughly enjoying it. So let's begin. For the purpose of this video, and of course all the videos I've been doing, I have been playing with an Xbox controller, so my attacks are mapped to X, Y, and right trigger predominantly, A being your jump button and B being your dodge button. So largely speaking, you can kind of think of it as X is often your sort of quicker bread and butter combos, Y is your slightly more powerful sort of a bigger commitment move, and right trigger is typically some sort of weapon contextual thing. So in the context of the katana, you have the basic X combo. You can do this 5 times. This is your slash streak. You can basically string together a nice fast hitting combo. Keep in mind the katana also has a meter, a gauge, which you will see above your health bar. This will build as you attack the monster. Certain moves do build this quicker. There are of course some fast hitting combos which do have much greater build potential, but when you're attacking the monster, you will be building this meter, and this meter is important because it works into a core part of the weapon. However, before we get there, of course, basic X attacks pretty simple to execute, and of course at any point you can roll out if you want to. You then have the EI/streak, which is basically the sort of combination of EI attacks. The very first one will see you sheath your weapon for a moment and then take sort of an advancing slash forward. Following that, you can then basically perform an overhead strike. And following the third one, you can then return to a longer sheath animation. And if you do nothing, you will simply pull out the weapon and attack afterwards. However, interestingly, from here, you can also perform a few different inputs. You can press X as you sort of see the flash on the sheath. Meanwhile, if you press Y rapidly when you see that same flash, you can actually perform a flurry of attacks before pulling off that final powerful slash. Naturally, if you guys played Monster Hunter before, there are definitely some parallels here with the longsword's EI sheath attack, but either way, looks incredibly awesome. And of course, naturally, that fast flurry attack is also good at building meter. Following that, you also have your single-handed lunge attack on your right trigger. This of course performs a large thrusting attack. This also consumes some stamina. And following this, you can then of course continue that input for another series of flurry attacks, which ends in this almost sort of a dual blade style slash where you actually use the sheath to attack as well, which is really, really cool. And then of course you can end in that nice sort of a slashing animation, which turns you around. And of course in combat, you can combine these in different ways. You can of course follow, say, like a basic X attack with your right trigger to perform this nice quick flurry, which is something I use quite regularly and I can use as a means to again build some meter. However, every single weapon also has interactions with different karakuri, so of course your basic one, when you construct some boxes and run up the top of this and jump off, you perform this really epic sort of jumping attack, and this is actually described, according to the tooltip, as one of the most powerful jumping attacks in the game, so this is definitely a really good way to break parts and of course just dish out some nice meaty damage. Following that, of course, you then also have an attack off of the sort of spring. This one will leap you forward and of course you perform a nice flurry of attacks. And also, one of my favorite things, again, you also have the flame karakuri where you can basically construct this, dash through it, ignite your weapon with fire, and of course you can then dish out fire damage on the enemies. However, there is more still. I've saved the best thing till last. Again, I mentioned this weapon has a meter, so when you attack and you build this meter and it's full, you can then hold down right trigger and press either X or Y, and this will basically unchain or unleash the weapon, and you then have the weapon in the chain form. From there, you can then perform the same attacks you've always done before, your X attacks, your Y attacks, or your right trigger attacks, but they will now behave slightly differently. You will then be swinging around a whip like Ivy, and most notably, you do also have some more lethal combos from here. Of course, if you perform some of these slashing attacks, you then have this really powerful, far-reaching slashing whip attack, which basically consumes a lot of space, attacks the monster, and again, appears to be a great way to sort of cut off tails, or at least I have done that in the past, so I've definitely liked this move a lot. Honestly, it's just a super satisfying weapon to use. At any point, if you want to, you can can hold down right trigger and press B to basically put the weapon back into sword mode, and that will then preserve any of the meter you have left, so you don't need to waste the whole thing. Plus, if you perform a jumping attack with this, you also have a nice powerful whip sword attack, so basically you have a lot of things to mess around with. But all in all, this is a really fun weapon. Again, it is very easy to pick up, it's definitely very sort of forgiving, you have a lot of nice mobility with this, but also a lot of great damage potential. I really enjoyed using this one, and then of all the weapons that I had a chance to test out in the demo, in the sort of build, this is the one that I kind of gravitated back towards most, and this is the one that I have definitely got most game time with. So with that being said, giving you guys a chance to sort of take a look at this weapon in action, I'm gonna leave you guys with a bit of gameplay, just hunting one of the Kemono, which of course is one of the monsters or the creatures in the game, and you can then see some of these moves in action. If you guys do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. Do be sure to keep it locked because we've got plenty more Wild Heart stuff coming your way. If you've got particular questions, also let me know, and of course I'll catch you guys in the next one.